Hello, host Eric here, host Talking to Fans People, and today I want to talk about attainment. Attainment is a word I've been using lately more than some of the alternatives, and the reason is because it's pretty neutral. It merely means to reach a predefined state or status, and thereby trigger the fact that that status has been attained. The reason I bring up the point of attainment is I was thinking as I was driving here that we can understand all these models of human existence, of reality, of philosophy and everything. If we want to try to strip them down to their most base, shared, universal human instinct, it would seem that logos and ethos alike both emerge from this human ability to distinguish between that which can be attained, that which cannot be attained, and that which can be attained physically, and that which can be attained metaphysically, and that which cannot be attained physically and metaphysically. Now, I think each human being begins life with an understanding of the physical attainment issue, that's biological and body driven. I'm hungry. I want to attain food. Is probably the first thing that the first attainment issue you deal with when you're a baby. You're born with the ability to facilitate attaining that. Namely, you're born with the ability to suck instead of having to learn that one. So, these issues of physical attainment become intuitively real to us because we know them from birth. We understand that the body has needs, and also that it's possible to fulfill those needs. And depending on how traumatic our childhood was, we also have some varying degree of knowledge of what it's like to not have those needs fulfilled. So, the physical attainment issue on a body level is pretty simple. Physical attainment in other areas is less simple, but no less real intuitively to us because it's still in the physical realm. So if we go back to the olden days, let's say caveman times, and we imagine a caveman wanting to fly because he's able to see birds flying, he has the ability to conceive of a physical attainment that he's not able to actually attain. So at this point we begin to distinguish between that which is attainable and that which is unattainable, that which has been attained, that which we hope to attain, and that which we cannot attain. And as we go through this process on the physical level, there is a corresponding degree of acceptance of these realities or states of being of physical challenges or problems that we're facing that maybe either accepts the unattainability of something or challenges it, such that what once was unattainable on a physical level is now commonplace, such as flight. Now let's look at the metaphysical level, because that one is a little bit less clear and people tend to think of it as less real. But of course, it is no less real. We all agree that human beings need love, affection, belonging, basic human warmth and nurturing kind of a thing. And that is fundamentally a metaphysical need. Why do we call it metaphysical? Well, because first of all, it's not a physical object. In other words, it doesn't persist except insofar as some agent is causing it to persist by their action in coordination with some direction of energy in some fashion. So, you can't have as a object with no duration but with size and shape a hug. It doesn't work like that. It's not that kind of thing. It doesn't mean that hugging is not a physical act, but to receive a hug is much more than simply to have somebody suddenly restrict your movement by placing their arms around you. it's primarily its metaphysical meaning. It's primarily its metaphysical identity, namely the nurturing act. And it may carry all sorts of other meanings depending on the context and etc., etc. Regardless, these metaphysical attainments that we seek follow very shortly after our physical attainments on that basic level of emotional needs and feeling loved and feeling appreciated and things like that. However, our metaphysical needs become vastly more complicated pretty quickly. And so we shift from simple things like, well, do I feel adequately loved, to is this system producing A, adequate outcomes, or B, is it following a system that has legitimacy and integrity, and all those sort of issues that I always talk about become quickly the matter of concern for the logos ends of things as attainment becomes increasingly complex. So no longer is it enough to attain for ourselves a sense of feeling loved. We grow and come to expect to be able to attain, or at least to demand that we ought to attain, justice for others, for individual others. I would say that when we start talking about group justice, at that point we cease to actually talk about anything that's attainable, because one axiom of attainability is that something must actually be a defined, distinct entity of some sort, be it a time object, space object, or something like that. So I do think it's very interesting to focus on attainment because of the reasons I said before, and additionally because it kind of sidesteps this issue of intention while incorporating it into the system. Intention is always a tricky thing to incorporate into any system because each individual agent can define their own intention arbitrarily, and there's no way to challenge those claims about one's own intention, which makes it not useful as an argument. Thus, it's hard to naturally feel as though it belongs in a justification metric like argumentation. But belong it does, not as a warrant, not as a justification for certain behaviors or conclusions, but rather as a pillar of understanding that we cannot judge prescribed courses of action without considering intent, because people are driven by this attainment urge, right? If I'm a congressman and I'm pushing hard for a bill, I want it because I want to attain. I have this metaphysical attainment need that is probably unrelated to the purported claims for why the bill is a good idea. I think to the extent that every person who's advocating is able to say, look, here are my personal attainment needs that are associated with this, and here are the arguments. And to be upfront rather than so engaged in such advocacy all the time. I think we want to keep our advocacy dry, transparent, and general in its seeking the good, specific in its policy prescriptions, because otherwise you're just admiring problems. So that concludes my little talk on attainment. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching very much, and don't forget to eat plenty of Chiefs. It's the only way you'll grow big and strong.